Health-wise, I'm very much concerned about using mercury. Using mercury could damage you in many ways because, like your body, your system could get a lot of mercury and it could damage you, like kidneys.
I don't know what bad the mercury is so bad to people. I don't really know what going on with it. So I can't really say nothing about it too much.
In this community, that we know about mercury as well as much as we use it and know about it. So where is it dangerous? Yes, it is dangerous.
As a miner, because it can make us sick, it can get into our bodies and cause health problems, but yet we use mercury.
The Minamata Convention on Mercury, named after a city in Japan where serious health damage occurred as a result of mercury pollution in the mid-20th century, will aim to reduce mercury emissions from all sources, including gold mining, as well as waste management, storage, freight and transport in the atmosphere, and other related issues. The government of Guyana signed the Minamata Convention on the 10th of October 2013 after actively participating in the Intergovernmental Negotiating Committee on Mercury. Some key decisions were taken at these meetings, which included the development of UNEP's Mercury program, the implementation of universal action to protect human health and the environment from exposure to mercury, and the phasing out of mercury use in countries around the world. On the 24th of September 2014, the government of Guyana ratified the Minamata Convention. There has been a growing concern about the use of and local exposures of mining communities to mercury. Mercury, Hg, is known to be a powerful neurotoxin that poses serious health risks to humans, but especially to developing fetuses and young children. Once emitted, mercury can travel through the atmosphere, thereby contaminating ecosystems, fish, birds, mammals, and the human food chain. A knowledge, attitude, and practice study was conducted to help us understand the level of awareness and understanding of artisanal and small-scale gold mining, ASGM, and surrounding communities on the use of mercury. The study finds that the main source of income was from their employment in the mining sector. This trend continued across mining districts, mining locations, and the type of mining involved. Most miners used about 1 ounce of mercury use per washdown, and they purchase or obtain mercury at shops on the landing. There is an extremely low level of awareness and knowledge of the Minamata Convention among miners. 97% of the respondents have never heard of the convention. For miners, the dominant environmental concern from mercury use is health risks to humans. Erectile dysfunction was the most cited risk in the Pataro and Cayuni districts, while damaged organs was the most identified risk in the Northwest district.
Well, we have a thing we say that the mercury, it kills the sperm. This is what we normally tell the younger guys, right? Be careful of the mercury because it can damage you and then you bring a set of deformed people into the world.
Yes, mercury can get into your pores and cause a lot of skin infections. It gives you something like cancer, skin cancer, because I do see it happen already. It can't go away when it meets to that stage.
Miners surveyed felt that mercury is dangerous to their health. The amalgamation of gold with mercury away from campsite, the maintenance of a clean environment, and the proper waste disposal were cited as the main actions to protect the immediate environment of miners. Most miners agreed that protective gear should always be worn during mining operations, even though in practice the majority does not. Furthermore, despite their concerns on health risks, 2/3 of the miners surveyed have knowledge of retort but do not use a retort.
Yeah, sometimes 3 to 4 times a month I use retard. Sometimes if the goal doesn't reach the requirement, we don't use it. The boss feels it's not necessary to use it because it's probably a waste of time and the gas. So we use a smaller pan to burn it in open air, and that's about it.
The only time that you can use the retard is when you have a big quantity of gold. Because if you get a half penny weight, 1 penny weight, 1.5 penny, you don't need a big retard you just use the other torch to get rid of that.
Okay. I don't use retard in burning. When the customer come, they just come with just a little. So I think there's no need for a retard. But I have a tray and I use that.
Mercury is generally stored in plastic bottles, which may be placed with water, a hole or a plastic bucket. The largest average quantity stored per location was 15.86 ounces at Carao. Miners surveyed expressed that mercury is also dangerous to the environment in which they work. Another reason cited is preservation for future generation, and this was the perception of female miners. However, miners cited main reasons for not protecting their immediate environment as lack of skills and resources, no priority or necessity to protect the environment, and being unaware of protective measures. In communities, overall, knowledge of the purpose of mercury in ASGM was more prominent among the men and youths. The women, majority of the youths and a few men, acknowledged the risks mercury can pose to the community, such as water contamination and consumption of fishes.
Sometimes there are a lot of draggers or water dredges in Qatar River, and mostly would find these dirty water strolling down, and I know there are a lot of mercury used in the Qatar River, and the residents of Princeville would usually use the fishes that was maybe consuming these mercury things.
As a woman, I'm also concerned about my female colleagues that just be here at the shop, even when I'm not here, because they just be in charge, they just do the burning of the gold with the mercury, so I'm concerned too.
Skin rashes, birth defects, damaged lungs, and death via inhalation of mercury vapor and respiratory illnesses were some of the human risks noted by the focus groups.
Yes, well, actually we learned recently that there was a guy, he used to buy gold at a very early age, and eventually maybe inhaling of the mercury while burning the gold affected him, and he died of I think it's a cancer or something. But what I realized, I know it's very dangerous because sometimes when my husband would be burning his gold in the house, he would tell all of us to go outside and, lock the door and burn what he has to burn and give it like a 5 minutes with breeze out. And then we would go in back in the house. But he never burned it while we in the house because due to that same thing.
A large majority of the males, more than 75%, and about half of the youths, 40% to 60%, were involved in ASGM, but some of the participants from these two groups were unaware of any associated human risks. With respect to the effects of mercury on the environment, most focus group participants from communities were unaware of any significant effects that mercury poses on the environment. Artisanal and small-scale miners and communities' perception of the possible consequences of mercury ban in the country, about 63% of the miners would not recommend that ASGM be mercury-free. Unemployment was perceived as the main consequence of a mercury ban. Notably, the majority of the female miners would support the recommendation that artisanal and small-scale gold mining be mercury-free. In communities, approximately 60% of the pregnant women or women with children do not support its use in ASGM, while the majority of the men and more than half of the youths who were involved in ASGM deem mercury as a necessity. It is, however, many of the respondents believe that banning mercury will incur negative impacts for the miners, the mining sector, and the country as a whole. The main implication is that if there is an introduction of an alternative, the artisanal and small-scale miners will not be able to afford it.
We, the small miners, we can't afford, or it doesn't look possible that we can afford the type of equipment to work without mercury. So as such, I would say no. Until they can produce something that we, the small man, can use effectively, well then yes, let's ban mercury. But for now, no.
I do not support the government on banning of mercury. Number one, because you have to think about the small miners, not only the large-scale miners. Because certain equipments in doing that is very expensive.
I would support the ban of mercury if there's another suitable way of working gold, of mining.
About the mercury banning, I think y'all should never do it, because what else would the miner use?
How many, if they know that, how many cases is in the hospital, so that they consider their patients or someone is hospitalized by mercury, and they can't buy like brains or lungs or what, by damage by the mercury. So if they have some about a dozen or more suffering in the hospital, now they could come around, to find out really how the mercury used in the mine, in the hinterland.
There are lots of miners, small and large, who still do open air burning and so on. So yes, I think that if we can actually get a team maybe to pass through the interior, like how the malaria team comes and they do tests and show you, look, sir, you have a large concentration of mercury in your system. I think it will open the eyes of the miners now, and they would be using a better way of going about the business, right?
Our health is at stake, right? A doctor and some teams came in a day and gave us this thing about mercury, right? And then we get to know how serious and dangerous mercury is, right? Because we asked for this copy, so we could know it and tell the people about it.
Even if you want to bring these new equipment, this advanced technology, and we can reclaim the gold, well, okay. How about giving us a loan, a soft loan to assist? If the thing costs so much, well, maybe we can bring it into the country and you pay a duty-free concession, you take off something from it. But to leave us like that, it's tough.